power. Marxist parties want power. The Democrat Party has embraced that ideology. We're up against it here. We're up against a very evil power, the Democrat Party. Let me put it to you this way. The Democrat Party is not merely a political party. It's not merely a cultural party. It is the government party. It's the party of the government, and the government is represented by the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party owns the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy relies on the Democrat Party for its sustenance, and it gets it. It sabotages Republican presidents, and it does everything possible to advance the Democrat Party agenda, whether it's a Republican president or a Democrat president. It is a permanent part of the government, never even imagined by the Founding Fathers. And it is the entity that governs us. That and the unelected judges, who have become increasingly radicalized and separated from their constitutional responsibilities. As more and more Obama judges were appointed, more and more Biden judges are appointed. And you can see this particularly at the lower court levels, where when civil liberties issues are raised, Bill of Rights issues are raised, whether it's January 6 people who are peacefully protesting outside the Capitol building or who were invited in the Capitol building, they get 2 years, 4 years. It's unbelievable. If they had been part of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they'd never receive sentences like that or been born into the Biden family, other than in Arkansas. They would never be treated like that. You and I all know this. But the Democrat Party is the government party. It's the state party. And I write about this in The Democrat Party Hates America, right up in the first chapter. And I cite a guy who I've hugely, really is hugely attached to his writings since he's gone. His name is Raymond Aron, A-R-O-N. He was not only a journalist, but even more, he was a philosopher. He was French, and he wrote brilliantly about a number of subjects. And one of the things he wrote about is the one-party state. And he explained, and he's not alone, Hayek has explained this, so many geniuses have explained this. You can have a voting system and still have a one-party state. You go through the motions. You vote. But the one party, the state party, controls the system. That's H1, HR1 that they were trying to pass. If you look in California, that's what you have. You have a one-party government. That's why they're in deep crap. That's why they have more illegal aliens from Central and South America than they actually have others, citizens in the state. Do you know that? Just happened to Texas last week, according to the census. The two biggest states. The majority in both states are Hispanics in both states, over 40%. You might say, Mark, why are you bringing that? I didn't bring it up. It's in the newspaper. The census report, they're cheering this stuff. So you have California, and why do you think the border's open? To change Texas. They win Texas, we can't win the presidency. It's that simple. We can't overcome California and Texas. I don't care how many other states you put together. If they win Texas, we can never win again. It's over. Period. Whether it's popular vote, electoral college vote, they know this. Ted Cruz knows this. He's up for re-election. He's in for the election of his life. And that's why the Democrat Party has opened the border, and that's why I will say it. I'm one of the few who will, but I will come under attack every time I do. But they're doing it. I'm just noticing it. That's in the book, too. And so what you're going to see is a philosophical, historical, present-day journey through the last, I'd say, 160 years of the United States, relating it back to today and what's taking place. And that if we didn't have a Democrat Party, this would be a much greater nation. It would be freer. People would get along better. And the things that the Founding Fathers and the framers of the Constitution wanted for us, their progeny, would actually be mostly in existence today. The Democrat Party has never accepted Americanism. That's why it led the Confederacy. Jefferson Davis was a Democrat. Most of his generals were Democrats. They weren't Republicans. They were the Democrats or nothing. It was a former Confederate general that started the Ku Klux Klan. It was a Republican president by the name of Grant who sent the army down there to wipe out the Klan. Came pretty damn close to it until the House in the next election was won by the Democrats. He couldn't raise the funds to send the army back down there, to put them out of existence once and for all. But that was a Republican president who led the Civil War against slavery, a Republican president who tried to destroy the Klan, always blocked by Democrats. Democrats want to get rid of the Electoral College. They claim it's based on slavery. They're liars. There's not a word in Madison's notes, the definitive explanation of what was taking place, tying the Electoral College to slavery. It had nothing to do with slavery. The 3/5 vote had nothing to do with slavery. The South wanted to count each slave as a vote, as a person, so they could have bigger representation in the House of Representatives. The North said, no way. If you're not going to count them as human beings in the first place, you can't count them as human beings for the purpose of empowering yourselves. That's where the 3/5 came into existence. Not because the nation agreed to it, it's because they had to deal with the situation as they found it. Which we'll find also in the book is a deep discussion about how the Constitution has nothing whatsoever to do with the promotion of slavery, because you've learned or you've heard the opposite. And you're going to hear and learn a lot more. You have people on MSNBC who say, why should I care about the Constitution? My people had nothing to say, nothing to do with it. At least 5 states, but it's believed 10 states, they actually voted on the Constitution. In 5 states, or at least 10 states, my point is, in those states, blacks were permitted to vote. And the vast majority who did vote voted for the Constitution. This is history. You're not getting history. I'm going to give you history. We're going to talk about the Democrat Party. We're going to unravel all the radicalism that you're seeing, the lies and so forth. That's all backed by the Democrat Party. They never spoke out against Antifa. Why? They never spoke out against Black Lives Matter. Why? Because they embraced them. They want a revolution. If it's quiet, great. If it's not, great. Why do I know that? Because they embrace people like Marcuse, who was a Marxist, and Gramsci, an Italian Marxist. And they all said, the way to expand our power in a democracy is to become like the movie The Alien, take over the body. It's to take over the culture piece by piece, and then take over the government piece by piece. If it's a grand revolution, great, so be it, but it's unlikely. What happened in Russia is unlikely to happen in other places, particularly places where they have representative government, democracy. Because the proletariat is not going to rise up and overthrow. It's up to us to secrete ourselves into the system and overthrow it from within. And that's exactly who they follow, as I explain in chapter 1. I have to tell you, I'm excited about this book. Now you might say, well, you wrote the damn thing. I don't always get excited about these books. I love them. You know, I wear my emotions right on my arm. They're a lot of work. I think they're incredibly important. Millions and millions have been sold to you, thanks to you who are interested in this. But this book in particular, it's a killer. It's got the scholarship, it's got the substance, but it's got the brass knuckles too. It's a killer. I love this book, and you will too. The Democrat Party hates America. You might say, okay, you started out this program talking about all the corruption in these prosecutions. You gotta stick with me. Who's behind it? Biden, Garland, Smith, the Democrats who were behind the Mueller investigation, the Democrats who were behind the impeachment, the Democrats who are smearing the whistleblowers now, the Democrats who loaded up the January 6th committee the way they did, the Democrats. Why are they doing these things? I'm asked this all the time. They live in this country. Don't they want it to survive? Power. Marxist parties want power. The Democrat Party has embraced that ideology.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.